with anyone. I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me. You could be around with me. You could be with anyone. I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here.
All right, guys, here's an interesting letter that came across my desk. It's about a guy who has a female friend who left him, or should I say abandoned him, when he was drunk and possibly drink spiked. And she doesn't have a problem with it, and she doesn't understand why he's mad. Let's take a look. So, I went out for a drink with my friend to a bar. When it was closing, we met a man who we chatted to, and he invited us back to his place. Okay, so you guys are being super cordial, you're being super friendly, you're going to try to extend the time that you spend at the bar and keep the party going and go back to somebody else's house. You always have to be very careful when you make that decision. Now, I'm not saying it is absolutely positively don't never try to do this, but I will say this. If you do it, this is an extreme exception situation. This should not be a rule. Nobody should be this crazy about keeping the party going. Once you hit a certain limit and the party kind of peters out, or you hit your time or whatever, go on home and relax. Live the party another day. You don't have to try to keep it going until the break of dawn and we're going to hang out with these cool people that we met. Because here's the thing. If wicked and evil people seemed wicked and evil when you first met them and they presented as such, nobody would ever be in a situation where they would go home with somebody who is wicked and evil. Ever. That part of the trick is they seem like really cool, chill, nice people. Then that's how to get you in a trap. So it already is kind of starting in a weird place for me. Like I could hang out, party. If you wanted to go to the diner, maybe I could see that. Like we all go to the diner and get something to eat afterwards so we can sit down and have a conversation. But then we all kind of go our separate ways. The only way that this kind of works is if you plan on hooking up with somebody. But even that, like I said, you have to be very careful about how you conduct yourself out here in these streets. It continues. My friend and I agreed to go and have a couple of drinks there. I had drunk about 5 drinks by this time, only beers. Okay, sometimes that doesn't really make a difference, especially depending on which brand it is and where it's from, because not everything is created equal. Everything ain't the same. So I'll take him at his word that this is something he's used to doing, probably a brand that he's familiar with, because it sounds like it's something that he's surprised about. And outside the bar, the man made some comments about whether I was interested in having clapping cheeks with him. And he also touched me on my backside. Right there. Big red flag. If this isn't something that you're into and something that you don't want to participate in, then you have to take that into consideration when you plan on extending your evening with this particular person. It's not saying that you can't be friends with people who have a different orientation than you or somebody whom you may not be attracted to. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that if somebody is actively trying to come on to you after you leave a setting where people gather to meet so people can come on and pick people up, and you're going to that place and you meet somebody and this person is expressing interest in you, and then they say that they want to go somewhere with you and they want to do some things, and you agree to go with them and hang out with them, then whether you realize it or not, you're tacitly agreeing that there's a possibility that you might go somewhere and do some things. Just saying. So, I told him no, I'm straight. My friend really wanted to go back to his place, and I thought it would be fine to still go to the house. This also, my judgment was bad due to the drinks. Wait a minute. So 1 second you said you had 5 drinks and you fine. Now you make a bad decision because of drinks. You got to pick a lane. That's the first thing. Second thing, you have to be able to stand on your guns. I don't care who wants to go where. You got to be able to make decisions for yourself. And this goes whether you're a guy, girl, whatever. You have to be able to make decisions for yourself. If a situation doesn't feel right or is something that you don't want to participate in, then you stand on what you said. I don't want to go. I'm not going. Point blank, period, the end. We're adults here. If you want to go back with them, then you're fine to go. Well, I don't want to go without you because you're a guy. Things happen to guys too. Let's put that right up front. Things can happen to men too. We are not invulnerable to things happen to us. Okay? You can go out and they can put something in your drink just as easy as they put something in her drink. They can put something in both your drinks. And so you have to be very careful, even as a man. You have to be able to guard yourself and not put yourself in a position where you can become vulnerable. Let's continue to see what they say. This is when things get weird. Things already been weird, bro. You late to the weirdo party, man. People invite you back who you're not attracted to. Your friend is insisting that you guys go back to a place that you don't want to be at. I don't know, man. That's just, like I said, if you want to go, then go do you, big boo. But if you don't want to go, then make your choice and make your decision and stand on it. Once inside the house, the man brought out a packet of white powder. Bugger sucker. I don't use those DRUGs, so I decline. And if you don't, good for you, you don't use them. I don't use them either. But at the same time, this is where you have to start making assessments. If this isn't your scene, what are you doing there? If this isn't what you do, what are you doing there? Why are you sticking around in a scene that's not your scene? They're doing things that you don't participate in. I'm just as open-minded as everybody else, but if people start doing things that I don't approve of or that I don't participate in, then I kindly invite myself to leave. No offense to you, but I don't get down like that. This ain't my scene. That's really the last coherent thing that I can remember. I got really sick really fast, cold sweats, and just constant vomiting. I couldn't stand, and every time I tried to move, I would just vomit in the toilet. He does it in the toilet, like it makes a difference. It was to the point where it was just severe heaving with nothing coming out. Like, that's disgusting, first and foremost, but that can be an indication that maybe somebody put something to you, or you've had way too much to you know, I don't know if I can say it on YouTube. You've imbibed a little too much. You've gone too far. You've taken it over the rainbow. Look, when push comes down to shove, this is also one of the things that I would strongly recommend against. Don't go out and have a good time. Having a good time should not involve you going out getting obliterated. And more to the point, getting sloppy. Because when you start getting sloppy out here in these streets, you start slipping, that's when you get tripped up. That's when you can get robbed. You can get, taken advantage of. Things can happen to you. Things can happen to your friend. Sometimes in these types of situations, the guy will go with his girl buddy to a place and say, oh, okay, no, it's cool because I'm here to protect you and ain't nothing gonna happen while I'm here. And you're sitting there drinking homemade drinks that you never saw this guy make, and because he went to the kitchen or he turned his back and he's mixing these strong drinks for you and he's giving it to you and he's feeding both you guys booze and you thinking everything good to go. Next thing you know, you don't remember nothing and something terrible has happened to your friend because you messed around and got sloppy. You are not Superman. You're not Captain America. You're not a comic book. You have to protect yourself and you have to protect the people around you. And your friends have to do likewise. They have to think outside the box. It's not all about going out getting messed up. Woohoo! It's not all about that. It's about being smart so you can enjoy your evening. If something horrible happens, you're not going to sit around and talk about, that whole night was amazing until XYZ happened. That was kind of bad, but the other part of the night was amazing. That whole night is ruined. Be safe and have a good time, but don't go crazy. There's too much life ahead of you for you to get tied up in trying to have one night just a good time. My friend did call an Uber for me, and I got inside and needed to leave it almost immediately because I could not stop throwing up. My friend, by this point, couldn't wait to leave. I think to go and try to meet some friends somewhere else for a house party. And by the time I was out of the Uber, she was gone. What? I'm not sure how long it took me to get home, but at some point I stopped being sick in the street and organized an Uber. Okay, so he got sick. The Uber driver was probably like, bump that, not in the back of my car, and took off. Which I don't blame him. These guys are contractors. That's his car, so you're not going to best the back of his car. Oh, this dude ain't going to make it to the corner. He get in the car. He got to get right back out to tear the sidewalk up. No, not my back seat. Skip. And so he took off. And according to this guy, his friend kind of hustled him into the Uber, and then she took off. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, cuz that person is not your friend. Let's stop calling her that. She's not your friend. Okay, this is some lady you know. This is some person you hang out with. This is not your friend. Because friends don't do this to one another. Friends actually care what happened to other friends. If I'm with a friend and they start, like, even if we go out and we're just doing standard, everyday, Alabama Slammer, Long Island iced tea, Drakes, boom, 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 and my friend gets sick or is not feeling well, I make sure my friend gets home safely. Even if I have to leave the party, the club, the bar, whatever the case may be, I make sure my friend gets home safely. Because I would hate to have it on my conscience that something happened to my friend along the way. That he or she went somewhere and got robbed or something terrible happened to him, and I was too busy worried about shaking my butt to make sure that they got home safely. I wouldn't want to do that. You know why? I might not be the greatest friend in the world, but I'm certainly not a crap friend, and that's what this person is. They're a crap friend. And I'm not even going to say they're a crap friend, because technically a lot of the moves that they're making really pushes them into the line of possibly being your enemy. Because nobody would do this to another person. I can't remember anything about this part. Just to note, we live in a big city, and this was in the early hours of the morning. The next morning, the friend, quote unquote, this person, this crazy ass person, rang me and said that she had tried to call me all night. Oh, okay, now you're worried. I had no missed calls, and my phone was on the whole time. So they lying to you on top of everything else. Crap friend. Don't hang out with them no more. She mentioned that she was considering coming out and looking for me. I don't believe her. And you shouldn't. Why would you come out and look for me? You should have never left in the first place. If you're that worried about it. She probably didn't even realize you got out of the Uber. She probably hustled you into the Uber, turned right around and walked off and kept on with her evening because it was too important for her to keep the party going. And here's my thing. Here's a quick question, bro. If she had a whole house party to go to, she had another party to go to, why was it so important that you guys go back to this person's house? That's weird to me. And then you get to this other person's house, all of a sudden you start getting sick. And you're the only one throwing up, and you're the only one that got sick after leaving this person's house. And you're saying that you feel like they might have slipped you a MyTakeOnRealityQuestions. You know what I mean? You're the only one that got sick. It sounds shaky as hell to me, bro. It sounds shaky as hell. Something ain't right. Sometimes, you know, the people who set you up are the people closest to you. This sounds like a straight up setup. Maybe I was emotional because of what happened, but I got pretty angry over text and called her selfish for just leaving me to get back home on my own. Even though she called a taxi for me, she has accused me of overreacting. What should I do in this situation? Here's my thing. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You know what you need to do. Okay, you know what you need to do for you. You know how you need to conduct yourself. For me, this person would no longer their phone calls don't get returned. Point blank. Don't bother calling me. Don't waste your time. Don't waste my time. We are not hanging out anymore. If I see you out, then I might speak. But other than that, we're not cool. We don't hang out and run in the same circles. We don't make plans together. Don't plan on me going anywhere after the place with you. Don't plan on meeting me anywhere. Lose my number. And like I said, if we run into each other in the streets, I could be cordial with anybody. But we're not friends. We're no longer, you don't deserve to have the title or blessing of being called my friend. But if you treat me like this, no, we're not friends. Because she abandoned you, bro. She was more worried about having a good time and going out getting her freak on than she was worried about making sure that you were okay. And that in and of itself, big red flag for me. Let me know what you guys think down below. That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side. Yeah.